Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another Take 10 with Zen, where we take 10 minutes or less to talk about how we can connect more to the spirit world, understanding more about ourselves, and I answer also questions from my subscribers. So last episode, we did talk about fate, and we were talking more about the timing of fate, and as there are certain things that are fated during certain times. We talked about the three different areas of like an absolute fated event that has to happen at an exact time, then fated events that have a range, and then other things that aren't fated but are like bonuses to have us have a higher experience. So if you want to find out more about that, check out the last video. We'll have them linked to the playlist down below, so you can just click on it and go and see what else we talked about. But in this one, we're going to talk more about the subconscious things that could be impacting these fated events. So let's get started. Okay, so in last episode, we talked about, our energy. We have this co-creative energy that wherever we're focusing on our energy to, we actually are attracting attracts like. So when we're focusing on higher vibrational love things, we're drawing in higher vibrational love things. And when we're consciously focusing on lower vibrational things like fear-based, failure-based, those types of things, we're drawing those in. So one thing that's important for us to realize is our energy, what we're focusing on each moment. But that's conscious, right? What we're focusing on, how we're intentionally focusing our energy helps us manifest, helps us draw in things. And we're always putting out energy and drawing those things in. We talked about that last episode. So if you want more details, check that out. But beyond that, if our conscious mind is saying, I want, but we have this subconscious message that's going on underneath, it overrides this thing up here because we are 10% conscious, 90% unconscious, subconscious. And so we've got a lot of programs that are running on down below. One that I wanted to mention, I talk about a lot in my lives because it comes through in spirit when we're looking at our, we're wanting abundance, like up here. I want abundance, I want love, I want raises, I want promotions, things that I'm desiring to bring into my life. But I feel like there's a forest field. Why is it being kept away from me? Well, it's what I call the Six of Pentacles energy, which used to be more of my codependency awareness message, but it's been kind of revised to be more of a overgiver mentality. And it seems to be really wide ranged here across the world in this day and time. But it's been around forever, but it's really more evident because it goes back to our little emotional inner child that's ruling our subconscious. They're the ones that are down there at the control panel controlling the forest fields that are keeping things away. And what is it using to determine that? Well, we go back and visit who we were as we were having our emotional inner child created, which is normally 7 years old and younger. And that little emotional child self, it was looking for love, 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 especially from significant individuals. And those are the ones that create the most impact on us. And so it gave and gave and gave and gave so much, wanting so much attention from that individual or individuals, and it got very little back in return. I kind of look at it as this out of balance giving and receiving, where we felt we had to give 1,000 love coins to someone to deserve and only get back 1 love coin. And we as humans, everyone, no one had a perfect childhood. So I'm not dissing parents at all. But parents are usually a lot of the usual suspects when it comes to that, or whoever had a great amount of impact on a child's life. Usually parents, at the age when children are 0, in the womb till 7, they're usually at their, crazy time of their life, trying to build a home, make sure their children have attention, make sure there's food, make sure they're taking care of all the other family and their friends, and having all this stuff. They have very little time to do anything. And so, when a child gives 1,000 and they get 1, the little inner child is like, well, I'm a child, I don't know any better. I think that's fair. We're like, well, at least I got 1. Well, that belief, that out of balance rate of exchange, rate of love exchange, rate of abundance exchange seeps down into the subconscious. And while it's down there, it rules. It's kind of like we're in autopilot. It's just these things are running below the surface until we do something about them, right? So it can impact you in school, where you feel like you have to overdo things in school, or later in life in work, you have to overachieve at work. You're always overgiving in your friendships, your romance, your even family, whatever, where you have to overgive. But deep on the subconscious, that little inner child has a piece of chalk and a chalkboard, and it's going, keeping track one by one of each of the love coins that you're given. And until it reaches 1,000 of those little hatch marks, it'll keep these force fields up, keeping away love, abundance, whatever it is in our conscious mind. I'm like, I want this stuff. Little inner child is like, nope. You haven't reached that there yet. And then the magic day appears when we hit 1,000 and the walls come down and some abundance flies in, but it resets back to 0, and whoosh, those force fields are right back up. So if we feel we have like this resistance to all of our desires, we can go down and review these things. Luckily, we're not stuck in that belief and in these running programs. We just can bring them consciously from the lower surface to our consciousness. And we can just consciously think, who was it that I felt I needed to overgive to get very little back in my earlier childhood, 7 years old and younger usually, and we can identify them. And when we do that, we can be like, oh, okay, I know who it was. And we can realize too, we release our wrath on these individuals. We forgive them. We realize, well, they only knew what they knew, and they passed it down from generation to generation. They only had known how they were treated. They did their best. And when we realize that and we release them, then a little edit button appears above that 1,000, and we can go in there and we delete a 0 to bring it down to 1 to 100. We delete another 0 to bring it 1 to 10. We delete another 0 and bring it 1 to 1. There's a little save button. You click save, and then that goes below the surface. And that little inner child celebrates and says, yeehaw! It breaks that chalk, it throws it away, and pushes that little blackboard away because it knows I don't have to keep track anymore. The force fields are down, and you start to feel the abundance come in. So it's a combination of subconscious things that are rolling around underneath the surface that we can bring up and transform. And then what is our conscious energy that we're putting out? Because if I do all that, but I still am focusing on my fears of not having enough, like we talked about in the last episode, I'm telling the universe, I'm enjoying this not having enough or having this thing in my life that I hate, because that's what I'm pointing at. I'm asking for more of that. But if I focus on what I do want and what I'm grateful for, then with a combination of those two things, you get this flood and this flood and this flood of more abundance and of things that we're looking for in our lives. So hopefully that brings in some, more tools that you can use to transform and bring these things into our lives. But, there's so much that is faded with ranges, and depending upon those beliefs and the energy we're putting out is what brings things sooner to us or pushes things out. So our experiences are so much within our own hands, which is exactly where we want them to be, right? We have a ton of faded things that we wanted to happen in this lifetime, but we're the ones that are adapting to see if it comes sooner or later. Heaven, the higher realms, they're on divine timing. They're not like, oh my gosh, tap, 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 tap. They're more of the experience. We're eternal. They're like, what's the rush? It's our human that's in the rush, right? But there's more subconscious things that we can look at. Sometimes we have feelings of abandonment, being left out in the cold, being left behind, these beliefs of lack that we can transform. And we have other things of, just belief systems that were created when we were younger. And the triggers that come up allow us to see, oh, okay, my fears will tell me what can be transformed, and I can stop focusing on them. I release them in the subconscious. I consciously change where I'm investing my energy. And then you see a lot of beautiful fated events and adventures come forward. All right, everyone. Well, I'm out of time for this session, but next week we're going to kind of end the fate subject, and we're going to talk about death. I know. Is our death fated? Stay tuned to find out. And thank you guys so much for all of your ideas. If you have any questions on anything I've said in this video, you can comment down below, or you can send me an email to bruddaZen@gmail.com. And if you don't want to put it out in the public, but I'll answer you guys there as well. And if you have any ideas for future episodes, please share down below or email me as well, and we'll check them out. All right, everybody, until next week, just know that each and every second of every day of your life that you, yes, you, are unconditionally loved by the Mother and the Father of all things. And of course, I love you too. So until we chat again, much love to you. You hang in there, and you take care.